Welcome back to the Jamesy Wamesy Show. Tonight's mini biography is about me, but more importantly, all of the folks who helped me along the way. I do have a Kickstarter going on right now for the latest issue of Papa Balloon and Cactus. It's the 7th issue, but the 9th Papa Balloon and Cactus comic, due to a couple of specials. There's a link in the description to the Kickstarter. At the time I'm recording this, it's my birthday. I'm 49 today. I was born 7/7/77. Try to guess what my lucky number is. Ever since the 80s, I wanted to draw comics. My family never quite got that, but were always supportive. But like most dreams, the real world was calling, and I had to get a job and make art my hobby. First at Blockbuster, then 15 years at Walmart. After I had been there about 6 years, I had to admit that doing a full-time job while drawing a comic didn't work out for me. I spent months drawing my one and only comic before my stroke, just to break even. I decided after that experience that I'd just draw for fun. I didn't believe in my comic book making abilities. At the end of 2019, I suffered a stroke. I didn't know just how bad it was. My family tells me that at the hospital, I sounded intoxicated. Now, I've never been drunk or high a day in my life, mind you. My eyes were already bad before. Now they were strained to the point that I have glaucoma. The hearing in my left ear was completely gone, to the point where not even a hearing aid would help me. But what really showed me how much I was affected was that they gave me a questionnaire, and I couldn't even write my name. The final question asked me to draw a box, and I couldn't even do that. I remember swearing that if I got those abilities back, I would never take them for granted again. After I went home, I spent weeks in outpatient rehab, relearning to walk and to use my hand. Slowly I got better and better in both areas. After a while, I could draw better than ever, and I was able to walk 7 miles. And a couple of days later, I had a second stroke. This was about 9 months later after the first stroke. This time, the other side of my body was affected, so at least I didn't have to relearn to draw. But the stroke was more severe. It's now 6 years later, as I record this, and I use an electric wheelchair to go out. Also, I learned just how much you need both hands to make comics. So on the advice of YouTube superstar Richard Friend, I went digital. Using YouTube tutorials, I slowly but surely learned how to do my thing digitally. It took me about a year to learn what I thought was enough to start drawing like I had before on paper. And looking back, I can see that you just never stop learning. I learned something new every issue that I do. For my first issue, I really wanted the great Sam J. Royale to do the cover. I wasn't confident in doing a good cover yet, and I knew he was fantastic at capturing the core of characters, like making things iconic, and he didn't disappoint. I got quite a bit of fan art after the first issue, and I could see a lot of them, the majority in fact, were clearly influenced by Sam's wonderful cover. It all started with me drawing a frog grabbing a string. I didn't know where it was going to go. About 40 pages later, I remember thinking I could comfortably self-publish at this rate. The issue introduced us to old characters like Papa Balloon and Cactus, and new ones like Froggo and Princess Popo, who was actually an old character, but she had never been in a published comic. A fun fact, she used to be a unicorn character. Also, with the very first issue, I decided to feature backup stories. I asked Jeffrey Manley to get together a best of 4-pager for me to run, as Riley the Teenage Bigfoot is my favorite new comic book in a decade. I really want my friends to read it. Sam wanted to do a one and done thing, but when he heard the next issue was a Christmas special, he was all in for the second cover. Sam is infamous for his obsession with Christmas. He even draws Christmas cards. And thank goodness, as I didn't feel ready to handle the cover still. I had been interested in just what to do in the backup feature in the Christmas special. I wanted to do something different from the Riley feature in issue 1, just to expand the book's horizons. Roman Rathard, aka Jerk Comics, had been doing a YouTube video series about Jack Kirby, particularly on the Lord of Light era, aka the part they left out of the Argo movie. Roman is very informed. Check out his channel link in the description. Jerk Comics had thought of an addendum to the videos, a positive moment in Kirby's latter days, to match the Christmas theme. Unfortunately, I printed the article much too small, but it's an incredible read, if you can just zoom in if you have a digital copy. Dave Sim called it the best article about Jack Kirby that he's ever read. My main story was about a war between Dracula and Santa Claus over who got to have their holiday on December 25th. I think you can also guess how that went. So Sam J. Royale did another fantastic job on the Christmas special, but now I felt I had to do a cover on my own. And it stank. I didn't know how to merge images, and I tried it and failed miserably. I had done an homage to the great Jim Rugg's Hulk Grand Design covers, which to this day remain my top 10 favorite Marvel Comics covers. Mine? Not so much. For the second issue, Dave Sim did a variant cover for the book. There are 3 covers actually from issues 2, 3, and 4. One of them even features Cerebus himself. I was honored. We were once given a project in high school where we had to give a speech on who our heroes were, and I gave mine on Dave Sim. I offered Amelia Trimpe a chance to write about her childhood in the second issue. She wasn't even a comic fan, yet she grew up knowing so many legends as family friends. She got a housewarming present from Flo Steinberg. She spent her Halloweens at her dad's friends Bernie Wrightson's Halloween parties. It was an interesting read. Now for 3 and 4, I had my old friend and professional comics artist Richard Friend work his magic on the regular covers. They are glorious black and white masterpieces. Before this, he had done several pinups for the series, starting with the Christmas special, and I thought he was perfect to keep the covers eye-catching. But as it does, life had caught up with him and he was gone for a long time. It was time for me to finally just handle the covers alone. But first, issue 3 was the beginning of the first regular backup feature, Captain Zap by Oliver Simonson. Since then, he's been in every single issue and the second special. After taking years to make the budget-free Cerebus movie, it was time to work on his old characters at last. The issue concludes with Papa Balloon running off with Popo, and Steamboat Ubby, my Mickey Mouse-esque slumlord character, decapitated. 3 also features a pinup by Pissant Apocalypse creator James Edward Clark. Sometimes I feel honored, like Mike Allred, to work with so many great artists. 4 features another cover by Richard and a pinup by Renee Castellano, a fun homage to the cover of Spawn number 10. The story features Cactus and Human Hot Dog in jail for the death of Steamboat Ubby. I think I had come a long way. My lines were much better, my coloring had improved by leaps and bounds, at least from the Christmas special. It was time, so I did another color special, complete with a cover completely by me. I went all out on some characters I'd been sitting on, basically fat parodies of Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. My versions were Wonderful, Batman, and Glasses Man. Glasses Man, in his secret identity of Clark Kent, moves next door, making everyone insecure about walking around without clothes. Hilarity ensues. 2 very important things came out from that special. One is that I decided that every issue would be in color from that point on. And the number 2 thing is that I worked for the very first time with Corinne Rowan Dex. We had spoken a few times, and I greatly admired the symbolism of her work, which speaks for itself. Since then, she, like Oliver, has contributed to every issue since her premiere so far. It was the beginning of a new storyline anyways, and I thought I could make the change to color. I was afraid I might lose some dynamics from the black and white era, but I find color just adds to the book. For some reason, issue 5 sold out, the first of the series to do so. Now it is available digitally if anyone actually wants a copy. In the last issue, printed at the time of this episode, Cactus finds himself on Papa Balloon's home planet, and Papa Balloon himself has just recovered from decades of amnesia. He is worshipped as a king and god by the people of the Ballooniverse, and Cactus feels so isolated, he joins the Rebel Alliance. The Rebels are alternate world versions of Oliver Simonson's Captain Zap cast of characters. They are super fun to draw, and I thank Oliver very much. Regarding the back matter, thanks also go out to Mark Wheatley, who put together a time travel story that was beautifully illustrated and unique, something I don't expect from time travel stories these days, for Mark just hit it out of the park. Mark has been a huge part of the indie comics scene, founding Insight Studios way back in 1979. From Radical Dreamer in the 90s to Mars and Frankenstein's Mobster, Wheatley always approaches things to the beat of his own drum. Last, Rob Walton of Ragmop fame contributed a beautiful pinup of Galactus as a cactus. He had done this piece before my comic even existed, but I thought it was perfect, so I want to thank him for contributing to that issue. Now, what is next? So far, it's a very text-heavy issue. Quinn is back again, this time with a poem reflecting these turbulent times. Jerk Comics, Roman Rathod, is back for the first time in quite a few issues. He's going to be eulogizing the recently passed Sam Keith. Last, Joel Meadows makes his very first appearance in the pages of Papa Balloon in a prose short as well. On the comic front, Joe Gabbard has a one-pager that only works by being on the very back cover. You'll see soon enough what I'm talking about. Joe has patiently waited for this moment. I double-booked the back cover for the last issue, and he graciously gave up the slot last time. So now I've guaranteed him the back cover. Special thanks go out to Gotham Newsstand, who advertised in the early issues when meeting Kickstarter goals was in doubt. Peter Hensel is a great guy and the man behind Gotham Newsstand, and I've used his eBay store in the past with 0 issues. And last, thank you guys. Thank you if you've ever backed one of my Kickstarter campaigns. I love the small group of people who always show up when I need them the most. Muchas gracias.